So, welcome to Sunday Live, my dear friends. Namaskar. Good evening. You just heard Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Air Force Joint Chief of Staff Ken. Perhaps that revealed a lot what US has done in the Iran. It has attacked 3 nuclear enrichment facilities midnight, and that was a very surprised attack. Iran could not even grasp that there could be a possibility of United States attack on Iran. Such a surprise element. No missile defense system was activated. There was no radar that could have captured any aerial asset of United States of America. There was nothing. So such a great surprise element which you just heard from Secretary Pete Hegseth. So we are going to talk about different aspect of this US attack on Iranian nuclear sites. So despite repeated opportunities and warnings from the United States President Donald Trump, Iran did not compromise on its nuclear program and did not make a deal with the United States. And the fallout of these unheard warnings is precision strike of 3 Iranian nuclear enrichment facilities by US military. President Donald Trump himself announced, saying that US forces struck Natanz, Fordow and Isfahan nuclear sites in Iran early Sunday. This is first time that US has got directly involved in Israel-Iran war, siding Israel in its operation codenamed Rising Lion. US had earlier attacked Houthis, which US and Israeli pronounced as Iran's proxy in Yemen. Houthis, however, agreed to a ceasefire. It was mutually agreed. But barely hours before the US military attack on Iran warned that they are mulling to target US ships and warships in Red Sea if US military attacks Iran. So now the attack had happened. What can we presume? The so-called proxies of Iran, would they attack US military assets in and around the area? The US military strikes were in offings as videos of B2 Sprit bomber entering Middle East became viral. Speculations on US military attack on Iran were rife after the United States military website, the Avionist, reported that 2 squadrons of B2 strategic bombers, which are capable of carrying bunker-busting bombers, left Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri on Friday morning. Now, the US attacks on the Iran may flare up a wider regional conflict. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned that events this morning are outrageous and will have everlasting consequences. Before we discuss further, let's first listen in what President Donald Trump had said after the attack.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel. And God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So you just heard President Trump. Now, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi made a statement on social media site X, and I quote him, "The United States, a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, has committed a grave violation of the UN Charter, international law, and the NPT by attacking Iran's peaceful nuclear installations. The events this morning are outrageous and will have everlasting consequences. Each and every member of the UN must be alarmed over this extremely dangerous, lawless, and criminal behavior. In accordance with the United Nations Charter and its previous provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its sovereignty, interest, and people." Unquote. This is what the Iranian foreign minister had said. However, the immediate reaction from Ayatollah Khamenei has not come from Iran. Israel and the US strikes come amid alleged existential threats issued by Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei, who often chants death to Israel and death to America. Israel has already witnessed October 7th killings, as you all know, and hostage crisis has faced a long time back the Holocaust at the hands of Nazi Germany during World War II, and Adolf Hitler killed 6 million Jews, as we all know. Wary of such existential threats, Israel and United States does not want Iran to possess nuclear weapon. So Israel launched its coveted Operation Rising Lion and attacked nuclear facilities in Iran and assassinated its nuclear scientists, military commanders to cripple its nuclear program. However, it seems US got intelligence that Iran was just days or weeks ahead of having capable nuclear weapon that can be assembled, delivered as payload. Connected to this new development, many experts questioning huge cache of packed containers landing in Iran and originating from China. It's about anybody's guess. The pace of Iran's nuclear weapon development can be estimated from the fact that during a congressional oversight committee hearing in March, the US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said that, and I quote, "Iran was not building a nuclear weapon, has now said that Tehran could produce nuclear weapons within weeks." This comes after President Donald Trump rebuked her at an airport in Morristown, New Jersey on Saturday when asked about Goward's congressional testimony and said she is wrong. The US intel boss, in her defense, has said that her testimony in the Congress in March, where she stated that Iran had a stock of materials but was not building these weapons, were taken out of context by dishonest media, quote unquote. Let's listen in the video which DNI Tulsi Gabbard posted.
Iran continues to seek expansion of its influence in the Middle East, despite the degradation to its proxies and defenses during the Gaza conflict. Iran has developed and maintains ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and UAVs, including systems capable of striking U.S. targets and allies in the region. Tehran has shown a willingness to use these weapons, including during a 2020 attack on U.S. forces in Iraq and in attacks against Israel in April and October 2024. Iran's cyber operations and capabilities also present a serious threat to U.S. networks and data. The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program. In the past year, we've seen an erosion of a decades-long taboo in Iran on discussing nuclear weapons in public, likely emboldening nuclear weapons advocates within Iran's decision-making apparatus. Iran's enriched uranium stockpile is at its highest levels and is unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons. Iran will likely continue efforts to counter Israel and press for U.S. military withdrawal from the region by aiding, arming, and helping to reconstitute its loose consortium of like-minded terrorists and militant actors, which it refers to as its axis of resistance. Although weakened, this collection of actors still presents a wide range of threats, including to Israel's population, U.S. forces deployed in Iraq and Syria, and to U.S. and international military and commercial shipping.
Perhaps I believe this misunderstanding might have happened due to pace picked by the Iranian authorities involved in nuclear weapon. This help from Iran's big supporter like China, maybe North Korea, cannot be ruled out, and maybe Russia. Perhaps this crucial intelligence might have had led US to strike 3 key nuclear sites in Iran to maim Iran of possessing any nuclear capability, despite Iran's Khamenei warning US to stay off the conflict. Ayatollah Khamenei, who threatened US of retaliation on its military assets if it joins the Israeli war efforts, as he said directly. So it was a direct threat. Now US has joined directly. Benjamin Netanyahu praised President Trump for his foresight, and I want you to listen to Benjamin Netanyahu, what he said.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
Though it is yet not clear whether the US would continue attacking Iran alongside its ally Israel, which has been engaged in a 9-day war with Iran now. Trump acted without congressional authorization. That is very important fact. And as we heard, Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chief of Staff Kane, that he said they wanted to maintain the surprise element in these strikes against Iran. And coming back to that, he warned that there would be additional strikes if Tehran retaliated, as he said earlier, Mr. Trump had said earlier. So against US forces, if Tehran does anything, perhaps US is open to strike back. This again proves that quick action must have been all that was required. What led to perhaps maybe new intelligence that could have provoked President Trump to take immediate action. News agency Reuters has reported that Trump told Fox News that 6 bunker buster bombs were dropped on a deep underground Fordow facility, while 30 Tomahawk missiles were fired against nuclear sites. US B2 bombers were involved in the strike, as we all know that Secretary Hegseth and said in the just now concluded press conference. Before we talk about war of words between President Trump and Ayatollah Khamenei, let's first discuss what B2 bombers are and their capability. So B2 stealth bombers, let me play some video clips for you so you can understand what capabilities does it has. It's a great aircraft. So now the US Air Force B2 Sprit stealth bomber represent one of America's most advanced strategic weapons platform, capable of entering sophisticated air defenses and delivering precision strikes against hardened targets such as Iran's worried network of nuclear facilities. So you may be wondering, US B2 bomber, they flew non-stop for almost 37 hours from Missouri to deliver what President Donald Trump called a very successful strike on nuclear facilities. These stealth bombers refueling several times mid-air struck 3 key Iranian sites. Fordow, Natanz and Isfahan is now history. The US had repositioned B2 bombers to the Pacific island of Guam. These aircraft are capable of deploying the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator designed to deploy deeply buried targets like Fordow, as was talked about in the press briefing by Secretary Pete Hegseth and Air Force officer. If we talk about B2 Sprit specifications, then the US B2 cost about $2.1 billion, each making it the most expensive military aircraft ever built. Made by Northrop Grumman, the bomber, with its cutting-edge stealth technology, began its production run in the late 1980s but was curbed by the fall of the Soviet Union. Only 21 were made after the Pentagon planned acquisition program was truncated. The B2's stealth technology incorporates radar-absorbing materials and angular design features that minimizes detection by enemy air defense systems. Its radar cross-section is reportedly comparable to that of a small bird, making it nearly invisible to conventional radar. The 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrator, or the MOP, represents the largest conventional bomb in the US arsenal, specifically engineered to defeat hardened underground bunkers. So you can understand how hard it penetrates, how deep it penetrates. Its massive size requires the B2 to carry only 1 or 2 MOPs per mission, but provides unmatched bunker penetration capability, as we have seen in the latest strikes. The weapon's 20.5-foot long GPS guided precision targeting system enable accurate striking against specific underground facilities. Its penetration capability of over 200 feet through hardened concrete makes it effective against the world's most protected underground installations, like what Iran had. If we talk about conventional payloads on B2, then Joint Direct Ammunition (JDAM) provides the B2 with precision conventional strike capability against fixed targets These GPS guided weapons can be deployed in large numbers with the bomber capability of simultaneously engaging multiple targets with high accuracy. Joint stand-off weapon, if we talk about, extend the aircraft's engagement range while maintaining stealth characteristics during approach. These glide bombs allow the B-2 to strike targets from outside heavily defended airspace perimeters. Joint air-to-surface standoff missiles, which B-2 has, offer long-range precision strike capability with their own stealth features. The extended variant provides strike options against targets over 800 km away. B-2 bomber are nuclear payload capable, and the B2 Sprit serves as a key component of America's nuclear triad, capable of delivering strategic nuclear weapons with stealth and precision. The aircraft can carry up to 16 B-83 nuclear bombs. The B-2 was developed and built by Northrop Grumman in first and flew in 1989 and was delivered to the US Air Force starting in 1993. The B-2 was initially designed as a nuclear bomber during the Cold War, but it has been used in combat scenarios, and we have seen that during the combat there have been a lot of operations done by the B-2. So it is a wonderful aircraft which everyone knows. So we have against the Iran. So that is the capability of this great aircraft that is being used in this operation. And perhaps we have seen that if anything of that kind happens again, and Iran, if they do something, the United States, as President had said, would not shy of using this aircraft again. Perhaps I believe that this aircraft was also used or in conflicts like Kosovo War, Iraq War, and the war in Afghanistan. Now coming back to war of words between the United States President and Ayatollah Khamenei, US President Trump made a few statements on social media site. One of them was, and I quote, "We know how complete and total control of skies over Iran. Iran had good trackers and other defensive equipment, and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, convinced and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good of USA." Unquote. Another one, and I quote, "We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out or kill, at least for now. But we don't want missile shoot at civilian American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter," unquote. So President in a row had posted sometime back. The third was only two words, quote, "unconditional surrender," unquote. So that was the message from the President Trump. It was loud and clear. Today we can understand whatever he posted, whatever statements he made, they really had some weight, lot of weight, a weight that had destroyed nuclear facilities of Iran to the ruin. However, Ayatollah Khamenei is in a televised message, excerpts of which was posted on social media site X, said, and I quote him, "The US President threatens us with his absurd rhetoric. He demands that the Iranian people surrender to him. They should make threats against those who are afraid of being threatened. The Iranian nation is not frightened by such threat," unquote. So he made it clear that your threats are not applicable to us. They are applicable to only those who get frightened out of your threats. Now the second of the same series, and I quote, "It is not wise to tell the Iranian nation to surrender. What should the Iranian nation surrender to? We will never surrender in response to the attacks of anyone. This is the logic of the Iranian nation. This is the spirit of the Iranian nation," unquote. The third message from Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei, and I quote, "The US entering in this matter war is 100% to its own detriment. The damage it will suffer will be greater than any harm that Iran may encounter," unquote. And again he said, and I quote, "The harm the US will suffer will definitely be irreparable if they enter this conflict militarily," unquote. Now, Iran's state media reported that every US citizen and military in the region is now Iranian target after United States attack on 3 nuclear facilities. So, United States has joined the war, the Operation Rising Lion, the Israeli efforts. So, this is very important because earlier United States military launched offensive against the Houthis, and Houthis they were being quite in a very massive amount degraded. The US military had degraded. However, the United States has also lost at least 2 of its 5th generation fighter aircraft, F-35 if I am not wrong, one on US Truman when it was landing. So it was a blow to the US military because losing 5th generation fighter in an operation that was against the Houthis, which US called the proxies of Houthis. However, later they agreed for a ceasefire. I'll come to Houthis also. Soon after the US military strikes on Iran, Iran retaliated by firing at Israel. These are some of the visuals of the Iranian strikes which I would like to showcase. Let's see what these are, and I believe they are very important. These are the visuals of the Israeli strikes on Israel, which were posted by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps social media handles. Not only this, Israel continues its Operation Rising Lion and struck many facilities in Iran. I will also tell about that, but these are the visuals which you can see that Iran has launched an offensive, a very massive offensive against Israel. However, most of the targets, as Israel says, are civilian targets, hospitals and other infrastructure which is a kind of civilian infrastructure. So that we have to keep in mind that while Israel and USA, they are targeting the military targets of the Iran, but now these are the targets of the Israeli military. You can see that Operation Rising Lion that Israel carrying out against Iran, they have struck various facilities in Iran, and I will definitely give you a breakup of this. So this is a kind of recap of Israeli Defense Forces operation in last 24 hours. 2 F-5 fighter jet belonging to the Iranian armed forces at the Dezful airport in Iran struck. 8 launchers, I believe 8 launchers were neutralized, including 6 that were ready for immediate launch towards Israel. 20 IF fighter jets struck dozens of military targets in Iran, including a military site containing components of explosive materials. Military infrastructure sites at the Isfahan airport struck in order to prevent the Iranian Air Force's use of the military infrastructure. And at 12:12 a.m., the IDF struck F-14 fighter jets belonging to Iranian armed forces in central Iran. Additionally, IF fighter jets are currently striking military infrastructure in central Iran. At 11:20, the Israeli Air Force has begun a series of strikes towards military targets in western Iran. Additionally, this morning, the IAF struck missile launchers ready to launch soldiers in the Iranian armed forces and swiftly neutralize the launchers that launched missiles towards Israeli territory. A short while ago, sirens sounding across Israel due to another massive Israeli launch. This is what Israel Defense Forces had posted on its social media site at 10:08 a.m. Sirens surrounding across Israel due to another Iranian missile launch that was again posted. So they have been keep posting the new information regarding the Iranian attack on Israel, so that the civilians get aware. And they had also got some documents, when they eliminated Quds forces. Commander Saeed Izadi had strong ties with Hamas military wing. We just revealed and what Israeli Defense Forces had said, that they have also suffered casualties. So here these visuals are of those documents which were recovered by Iran that proves that ultimately it is Iran that has connection with the Hamas that is responsible for October 7 attack. So I would like to read these documents. They are very important documents, and I would say let's go to these documents, what they say. So if we go to this, then the two documents which the Iran has posted, they are two letters, these two letters. So I will read one by one. It says, a letter penned by Yahya Sinwar, Muhammad Deef and Marwan Issa to Saeed Izadi on June 5th, 2021, in which they asked for his assistance in advancing the plan to annihilate Israel with the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, and the commander of the Quds force, Ismail Qani, as well as in securing hundreds of millions of dollars intended for fighting against Israel. This was the letter which was maybe in Urdu or Arabic or maybe some Irani language. So they had recovered this, and some of the translation that reads, I would read it out for you. Brother Commander Mujahid Al Haji Ramadan, we all trust you to wholeheartedly support our request to His Excellency the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, and to Brother Commander Mujahid Ismail Qani, and to double your contribution to the campaign of liberation and the removal of the monstrous entity known as Israel. So that again shows that these are not mere threats, but if the letter recovered by Israeli Defense Forces from the Hamas or the Iranian commander, they are very of the Quds forces, special forces, that's the external agency of Iran. So then it is very important, and this is another letter which I would definitely like to read. So what this says? This says, documents indicating terrorist activity by Saeed Izadi. A letter sent by Saeed Izadi to Ismail Hania on May 31st, 2021, in which Izadi congratulates Hamas on its great victory and informs Hanaya that the Iranians have allocated additional funds for Hamas military wing. Very important revelation. The Urdu letter that is being translated into English, that reads, and I quote, we would like to inform you that a sum has been allocated to the brothers in the Al-Qassam brigades in addition to what was recently sent, an amount valued at 10 million. We hope to inform them of this and are in contact with them to arrange transportation. Additionally, the leadership of the Republic wishes to support the families of the martyrs in Gaza and assist the people whose houses were completely destroyed in the recent war under the title of temporary shelter. This will be provided through the Palestinian Martyrs Foundation, and we will update you on the details regarding the amount, the method, and how it will be implemented. $10 million support. I would like to draw your attention to Ayatollah Khamenei's, and you must have seen all these two documents. They are very important. What Israel and US is saying. So I want to bring your attention to Ayatollah Khamenei's tweet just before the US attacks, and I quote, "Palestine is central issue to us, and the victory of Palestinian is something we cannot ignore." Ayatollah Khamenei had said in a social media site posting. That is important. So what Israel is talking about. So Israel apprehensions on Iran's role in October 7 are quite significant. Over the past week, the Iranian regime has been relentless in its mission to destroy the state of Israel. Here are the numbers. As I told you earlier, 950 missiles and UAVs fired by Iran, 24 civilians killed and over 1,200 injured. I shown you the visuals. The attacks caused damage to over 25,000 buildings and over 5,000 cars. Overnight, we deepened the strikes on the nuclear site in Isfahan and in western Iran. I'm quoting the IDF. On the screen, you can see the site where I must play the visual. Perhaps I had already shown you, but they are very important visuals. So let me play those visuals again. They are the sites of enriched uranium, where the enriched uranium takes place. This is the stage following enrichment in the process of developing a nuclear weapon. We had already struck the site in the operations opening blow, and last night we struck it again in a wide scale strike to reinforce our achievements. This is how the site now looks following the latest Israel attack. Besides that, they have also talked about how many UAVs were being intercepted, and then the kind of 99% success rate they had found. And this is very important, which Israeli Defense Forces has posted in last 24 hours. What they are saying? They are saying Behnam Shayari, commander of the Quds Forces Weapons Transfer Unit in the IRGC, was eliminated in a precise IDF strike in western Iran. Sayari was responsible for all weapons transfers from the Iranian regime to its proxies across the Middle East in order to directly advance the Iranian regime's plan to destroy Israel. Shahiyari also commanded the transfer of hundreds of millions of dollars annually to various terrorist organizations. Furthermore, he led the extensive effort to finance and arm those terrorist organizations, an effort that was resulted in the deaths and injuries to many Israeli civilians and soldiers. He was eliminated more than 1,000 kilometers from Israel, where when he was traveling in western Iran. His elimination represents a severe blow to the ability of the terrorist organizations surrounding Israel to regroup and strengthen after being heavily damaged by the IDF during the war. So that was one elimination. Now the second elimination which Israel talks about is Saeed Izadi, a founder of the Iranian regime plan to destroy Israel, was eliminated in a precise IDF strike in the area of Qom. Izadi was also the commander of the Palestinian Corps. Commander of the Palestinian Corps of the Quds Forces, a key coordinator between the Iranian regime and the Hamas, and one of the main orchestrator of the October 7 massacre. He was responsible for military coordination between the senior commanders of the IRGC and the Iranian regime, with key figures in Hamas. A part of his role, Izadi was responsible for increasing the financial funding from Iran to Hamas for terrorist activities against Israel. During the war, he also was responsible for directing Hamas forces operating from Lebanon. Since then, he has been committing to rebuilding Hamas military wing and ensuring that Hamas remains the controlling authority in Gaza. That was what the Israeli IDF had posted on its social media site, and I had shown you these two letters after killing what they found. So they have demonstrated the capability. Meanwhile, it is learned that the US administration has also informed Iranians of the US military strike and said that they have no intention of regime change. What is next for Israel and United States, and what is about to come in Operation Rising Lion. I will discuss the issue in next live tomorrow, but let's continue this for the time being. Meanwhile, I take you to a different aspect. Now the United States has struck Iran, now the Israel has struck Iran. So we need to understand what is the Iran's reaction, how Iran is going to retaliate. So that is important. So whatever is happening in the media, whatever is happening in the those circles, I have tried to gather some information for you, and this is very important because ultimately this will the strikes of by US military may lead to a wider regional conflict, may lead may bring in some other elements also to this war. So it is important how Iran is going to retaliate. So Hosseini Shariat Madar, a close aide of the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and who is also the managing editor of the hardline Kayhan newspaper, he wrote an editorial and he called for Iranian forces to strike the United States naval fleet in Bahrain and close the Strait of Hormuz for Americans, British, French and German ships. United States military bases in the Middle East that could be on the Iranian target, as the Pentagon braces for almost certain retaliation against American forces in the region. Americans, they know, they have studied, they know how to protect their own assets. So ultimately the Iran would try to retaliate, but that retaliation strike that would be successful or not, that is a thing to watch. But across the Middle East, the United States has reportedly stationed over 40,000 troops on American bases and warships in the region, which fall under the United States military, the CENTCOM, the Central Military Command. The major concentration of US forces in the region are in Qatar, Bahrain, Syria, Iraq, Kuwait and the UAE. We all know Bahrain, if we talk about the United States Navy's 5th Fleet and the US Naval Forces Central Command are headquartered in Bahrain. That's a very small Gulf kingdom that remains the United States military asset in the Persian Gulf. So it could be one of the target of Iran armed forces. Bahrain's deep water port can dock some of the largest US military vessels, including aircraft carrier. It is a home to America's 4 anti-mine vessels and 2 logistical support ships. The US Coast Guard also has vessels in the country. According to the Israeli Times of Israel report, they keep reporting such things. The base has been used by United States Navy since 1948 or 49, when the facility was operated by Britain's Royal Navy, that point of time onwards. So it's a very old base in Bahrain. So definitely if you are for almost more quarter a century, then definitely you must have the capability, you know the region much better than any originally person who is habitating those regions. So if we talk about another base where President Trump had visited recently, you would recall the Qatar Al Ubaid Air Base. So Qatar's Al Ubaid Air Base, that is also one of the target, that could be one of the target of Iranian military for the retaliatory strikes. It is the largest US military base in the Middle East. The base reportedly includes the forward components of CENTCOM as well as its air forces and special operation forces in the region. It also hosts America's rotating combat aircraft as well as a 379th Air Expeditionary Wing. If we talk about the bases, another base in Iraq, that's also a neighboring country. The United States has various troops installation in Iraq, including Al Asad Air Base in what we call Al Andar Governorate and Al Harir Air Base in Erbil. Baghdad is not only Washington's close ally. After we have seen everything changed since 2003 war, but also Tehran's arch enemy in the region, but the bonhomie everyone tries to have. The Middle Eastern nation that houses some 2,500 US troops as part of the international coalition against the Islamic State jihadi group. Now we talk about had Iran targeted the Al Asad airbase in 2020 earlier and killed when their Quds forces commander or leader Qasem Soleimani was killed. You remember President Trump had talked about Qasem Soleimani, how hateful, how cruel, how fierce he was. The Al Harir air base has also been on the receiving end of the Iranian proxy group drone attacks of late. If we talk about the US military base in Syria, they operated for years and years. They maintained a military presence at various installations in Syria as part of the international efforts against the Islamic State group, which rose of the country's civil war and overran large parts of the Syria and neighboring Iraq for years. You know that the Al-Assad regime was changed because of the US military, because of the strategy they have adopted. Even Russia had to back off. It was Russia's man, but he had to run away to Moscow. So we have seen that America's Al-Tanaf garrison is housed in southern Syria near the borders of the Iraq and Jordan. There are other military bases of United States that can be targeted by Iran. If we talk about the Kuwait has several United States bases, including Ali al-Salam Air Base that is around 20 miles from the Iraqi border, and that has 386th Air Expeditionary Wing of the United States based in that base. And the base is primarily airlift hub and gateway for delivering combat power to joint and coalition forces in the region. It also has Camp Arifjan, the location of the forward headquarters for the US Army component of CENTCOM. The US Army reportedly also stocks pre-position material in Syria. Now, coming to very important ally of United States, that is United Arab Emirates, the UAE. So, Al Dhafra Air Base is located in the UAE. That's a US based base. The installation is home to Air Force's 380th Air Expeditionary Wing, which operate F-22 Raptor fighter jets, the mightiest of them all and the most secretive. America would never sell F-22. America sells F-35. America sells F-16. America sells many aircraft, but not F-22. So it's a base of F-22 Raptor jets and several kinds of surveillance planes, drones, including MQ-9 Reapers. Al Dhafra also hosts the Gulf Air Warfare Center for Air and Missile Defense Training. So these are some of the key air bases of United States in and around the vicinity of Iran that Iran can target. And United States military, they must have devised a strategy how to defend. The issue is that the sixth generation, I would say the hypersonic missiles, they have been developed by China, Russia, and people say that the Iran also has, and they are using it. But the defensive system, the air defense system is not available. And the United States even today does not has the air defense system for hypersonic missiles. They do not have hypersonic interceptors. They are developing. The Golden Dome is being developed, and that's a $150 billion project. But that would come in next 3, 4, 5 years. So perhaps to protect the assets, it is important that the Americans, they should have the hypersonic missile defense system, which is not available. Israel's Iron Dome system is quite effective, but you have seen that Iran has successfully carried out strikes in in Israel, and it has struck buildings, it has caused devastation in Israel. So that means the Iron Dome is successful, but not full protective of any Iranian missile attack. So that is one thing. But I believe that the United States has a lot of capabilities, space-based capabilities, so they would employ, and most of these capabilities are not known in public domain. So that is one important aspect. Now they are putting sensors in space, they are putting sensors everywhere, underwater, on water, and on ground, in air, and now they have already put some sensors, as I believe, as I read, in space. So they must have got some capabilities, but ultimately how Iran reacts, whether the diplomacy is in full swing, the back channel diplomatic talks are ongoing, many of the things they are not known in public domain, but President Trump time and again had pushed Iran to agree to a nuclear deal. He said that you can get yourself as a prosperous nation, we can help you, but you have to give up your nuclear weapon development program. Iran has been saying that they are not developing any nuclear weapon. It is for the peaceful purpose, it is for the civilian purpose, so is the Russia and the China. But the United States has got intelligence. The IAEA had come out with quite a few reports that are startling, especially about the attack and the danger it causes and the fear or danger of the radiation leak if the strikes happen. So that are other factors that have to be accounted for in this conflict. So how things would fold, that totally depends how Iranians think. But as far as I understand, the Rising Lion, the code name of the Operation Rising Lion, that has many things to do with Iran that would unfold in next few days and weeks, and something big is coming up. It is not just the strike by the B2 bombers, destruction of 3 nuclear facilities which were involved in nuclear enrichment program by Iran, or some other strikes by Israel. No, it is much beyond. Operation Rising Lion, what it is, what does it stands for, and what are the things in offing for Iran, I am going to tell you in next live very soon, and it would be very startling, very interesting, and I believe that nobody had talked about those things. People have some information, people may be thinking behind at the back of the mind, but it is not so obvious. So we will definitely discuss those important things in next live. Let's see whether we can connect tomorrow, but there are 1 or 2 persons who had been from Israel. Let me shout out, it's very difficult to pronounce their name, Hadasi and Obed Nadami. So they are good friends. Thank you for being here for so long, and I'm quite thankful, grateful that a few people have joined me on this live. However, I believe and I expect that many more people will join in forthcoming lives, and please do watch whatever the lives are coming up. They would have some very relevant information, very accurate and very authentic information, and I'll keep you updating about this development without any warmongering, without any bias, without any kind of personal interest. I would say for the good of the people, for the good of the human beings, for the good of the peace, for the good of the earth, for the good of the human being, I would definitely talk about all these aspects, because we want a peaceful world, a world which have space for everyone, and people can live happily, people can be prosperous. That is our motto. We believe in Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, the world is one family. That is what our culture says, that is what our government says, that is what we as Indians says. So thank you for being with us with National Defense. If you want to support, you can always join as a member, and so grateful, so thankful, all the viewers, all the subscribers, all the members. I'll continue talking to you. Thank you so much. Thank you friends.